Well, good afternoon to you. You're watching Lunch Primetime News on News First. I'm Saturanga Hapuarachi. Before we head into the stories in detail, let's first take a look at the headlines.
Reverend Father Cyril Gamini will not be arrested. CID tells Supreme Court. Protest opposite Supreme Court complex demanding justice for the April 21st attacks. Farmers continue to protest over the fertilizer crisis. Vegetable prices increase. Incessant rains today and tomorrow. Landslide warnings issued for 8 districts. Schools open for OL and AL students.
On to those stories in detail. Sri Lanka's Criminal Investigations Department informed the Supreme Court via the Attorney General's Department that Reverend Father Cyril Gamini Fernando will not be arrested. Reverend Father Cyril Gamini Fernando filed a fundamental rights application with the Supreme Court today, seeking an order to prevent any attempt being made by the CID to arrest him after summoning him to the CID to record a statement. The Director of the Criminal Investigations Department, Director of State Intelligence Service, Major General Suresh Saleh and the Attorney General were named as respondents, among others. The Director General of the State Intelligence Service, Major General Suresh Saleh, filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigations Department on the 25th of October 2021 against multiple malicious statements made in reference to him with regard to the 2019 April 21st attacks by Reverend Father Cyril Gamini Fernando. Major General Suresh Saleh had stressed that he vehemently rejects the allegations made against him by Reverend Father Cyril Gamini Fernando and also stressed that the allegations made to bring disrepute to him are false. Suresh Saleh, in his complaint, requested for the Criminal Investigations Department to institute legal action against Reverend Father Cyril Gamini Fernando. In the fundamental rights application filed by Reverend Father Cyril Gamini Fernando, he noted that there is an attempt to arrest him after he provides a statement to the CID. Reverend Father Cyril Gamini Fernando had requested the Supreme Court to issue an order on the IGP, CID and other officials preventing them from arresting him until the examination of the FR application is over. Priests of the Catholic Church staged a protest opposite the Colombo High Court while the petition seeking an interim injunction was being heard. The Mahasangha also joined the protest.
Head of
the intelligence, Suresh Saleh, is saying that the comments made by Reverend Father Cyril Gamini is causing a security threat to him and his family. That is why Father Cyril Gamini has been summoned to the CID to record a statement. It is a shame to say that the head of intelligence is afraid of a comment made by a priest. Suresh Saleh is worried about his family and his life. What about the people's lives that were sacrificed?
All these
people are from Katuapitiya. What happened to the Catholic community can happen to another group of people. We know how much it hurts. We are struggling so that another man won't have to feel the pain we are feeling today. The government has fallen to a state where they are prosecuting the people who are crying out for justice. We, as religious leaders, strongly oppose these acts of the government. We demand justice for the lives that were lost. The Sandahiru Saya, built in Anuradhapura, was adorned with the precious Chudamanikya today.
The sacred stone was placed on the pinnacle of the stupa at the auspicious time of 9:53 in the morning. The sacred stone, which is 3.5 feet tall, is weighing up to 67 kilograms. The height of the Sandahiru Saya with the Chudamanikya is 282 feet and 6 inches. The construction of the stupa is being carried out by the Triforces and the Civil Defence Force. Buddhists in Sri Lanka and all over the world will be able to pay their homage to Sandahiru Saya after it being officially offered to the Buddha Sasana on the 18th of this month.
Drawing your attention to the farmers' fertilizer issue across the island, farmers are still facing severe hardships due to the shortage of fertilizer in the country.
farmers of Kallangutti village in Galnava Divisional Secretariat in Anuradhapura staged a protest in their fields, urging the authorities to supply adequate amount of chemical fertilizer and insecticides for their cultivation.
There's no fertilizer for the helpless farmers. Farmers who belong to other organizations are getting the adequate amounts of fertilizer. There are ample stock of fertilizer in the fields that belongs to SM and Bertie. Not only that, even the plant and cultivations carried out by the Doll Company are getting their stocks of fertilizer. If that's the case, why are they penalizing the innocent farmers? They advise us to supply cow dung and compost, but it won't work. They only grow one plant using this, and then they are advising us to follow that. We are cultivating in fields that are more than 2.5 acres in area. Where can we find that much of cow dung? Vegetable supply to economic centers were reduced as a result of the fertilizer crisis. A kilogram of each type of vegetable has increased by 200 to 350 rupees per kilo. The wholesale price of most vegetables had surpassed 200 rupees at the Capitipola Economic Center. A kilo of beans was 310 rupees, capsicum was 360 rupees, while tomatoes were 290 rupees and cabbage was at 120 rupees per kilo in the wholesale market. A kilo of beans is 300 rupees. Who will purchase at these prices? Customers are agitated. We are finding it difficult to sell our crop. We are desperate to make a living.
We usually supply around 1,000 kilos to the market, but we are now able to supply only 300 kilos. We barely make that margin. How can we sell vegetables when we already purchased them at 300 rupees a kilo? The people are desperate.
Farmers are saying that there is no point cultivating because all the farmlands they cultivated are now ruined because of the fertilizer crisis. Farmers say that the prices of vegetables might tend to increase furthermore in the future. We don't receive fertilizer. They don't have it in the market. Even there is, it is not affordable. If we do not receive fertilizer, the farmers of the country will not cultivate anymore. Sometimes farmers have to even pawn their jewelry to finance their cultivations. This will lead to a situation of importing vegetables. If this is the case, farmers will be compelled to go to overseas for employment. Someone who yields 5 to 6 beans from a plant can now only yield 1. It is expensive as well. We cannot do this without organic fertilizer. The yield is extremely low. We can't meet the demand because of the fertilizer crisis. We will probably have to import vegetables in the future.
Drawing your attention to a headline-making story, with the COVID-19 pandemic, schools were closed in the island. Now, systematically, schools are being reopened for students. Today, O-level and A-level students were permitted to go to schools. What is the update there? Let's find out. Schools were closed since March 2020 owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. The attempts made to reopen schools since then have not been successful, with the pandemic under control to a certain extent. Academic activities in primary sections of all schools commenced on the 25th of last month. Recommencing academic activities of grades 10 to 13 is the second phase of reopening schools with the COVID-19 pandemic. Academic activities in schools that have classrooms with less than 20 students will commence from today. The Ministry of Education plans to carry out academic activities in schools with classes that have more than 21 to 40 students day after day or week after week. According to the Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Professor Kapila Pereira, classes with more than 40 students will be divided into 3 sections and would be summoned to school separately. Meanwhile, Newsfirst inquired into the situation in schools today. This is the situation in schools in the Western Province this morning. According to our correspondents, the attendance of school students was at a considerable level today. With that being said, another 626 COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday in the country. The health authorities have warned that there is a possible rise of COVID infections in the island.
During
the past few days, around 500 cases were reported daily in the country. But during the past 2 days, it has increased up to 600. We should seriously consider this situation. We will have to face the real threat in another week or two. If we don't act right, there is a possibility the situation will get worse. It is important that we follow health guidelines. If we don't act accordingly, we will have to close the country again and will face issues that are detrimental to economically and socially. There is a possibility where we need to close the schools as well. And we will have to stop other economical activities. Meanwhile, an aircraft carrying 202,000 Pfizer vaccines arrived in the country last night. The total COVID death toll in the country has risen to 13,856 after another 15 deaths that occurred on Saturday were confirmed by the Director General of Health Services yesterday. The deceased include 7 females and 8 males. 3 people between the ages of 30 and 59 were among the deceased. With another 626 cases reported yesterday, the total number of cases has risen to 545,256.
What is going on with the weather? Sri Lanka's Met Department has forecast that showers or thunder showers will occur at times over most parts of the island. Very heavy showers above 150 millimeters are likely at some places in the western and Sabaragama provinces and in the Nuwara and Kandy districts.
Multiple areas along the Baddegama road in Galle, including Dangedara, Hirimbura and Oluwagada, were inundated due to heavy rainfall experienced in the area. Vehicular movement along the road had been disrupted as a result. The Katukurunda stretch along the Galle-Dikkumbura road was also underwater. 17 houses in the Caritas village in the Piyadigama falling under the purview of 4 Divisional Secretariat in Galle were also affected by a deluge. Residents have been temporarily relocated to the Sudarshana Ramya in Piyadigama. The Pulat-Sinhala Molkava main road had been inundated from the Paragoda section after the Kuda river had overflowed, causing considerable disruption to vehicular movement. According to our correspondent, the general public were compelled to utilize alternate routes to reach multiple destinations from Pulat-Sinhala, including Molkava, Kalinkanda and Badurelia. Many low-lying areas in Mathura were inundated due to severe rainfall. People were led to travel on alternate routes after the Valipitiya Jamburugoda road was underwater. Multiple low-lying lands and farmlands in Nakurasa were also inundated. Our correspondent noted water levels of both the Nilvala and Pulvatumodara rivers have risen. Rough seas were experienced in Mathura and Devinura, forcing fishermen to refrain from setting out to sea. The engineer's office in charge of the Mahaveli Polgolo Reservoir said authorities had taken steps to open 5 sluice gates of the Polgolo Reservoir owing to heavy rainfall. Torrential rain experienced in Central Hills had led authorities to open 2 sluice gates of the Canyon Reservoir as well as 1 sluice gate of the Upper Kutmale Reservoir this morning. 4 sluice gates of the Tabova Reservoir were also opened. Extreme weather disrupted the lives of 4,391 people from 1,143 families. According to the Disaster Management Center, 251 people have been temporarily relocated to safe areas. 5 deaths have been reported in the meantime, with another missing. 12 houses were destroyed while 635 houses were damaged. Meanwhile, the Assistant Director of the Disaster Management Center, Pradeep Kudipilli, stated that the landslide warning issued for several divisional secretariats in several districts has been extended.
UMP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe demanded the government to present the agreement that transfers shares of the Yugadanavi power plant to the US-based New Fortress company.
This is a major problem in the country. Can the government present the Yugadanav agreement to Parliament? Because our party has not yet taken a stance on this. We would like to go through this agreement and decide where we stand.
Now the Honourable Minister answered the 27-2 question and he has agreed to place the necessary documents before the House.
We got an incomplete answer. Even cabinet ministers publicly admitted that this agreement was not presented to the cabinet. Please don't lie about it now. A government minister even said the ruling party made false documents in secret stating that this agreement was presented to the cabinet. The minister in charge has already answered this question. There is no need to ask the same question over and over again. You are requesting for a certain document. The minister in charge has clearly said that he will present it to the parliament. There is no reason to cause such commotion. The responsible ministers of the government will do what is necessary. This is not such a simple document as you say. This is an agreement that will ruin this country. It is not a simple matter. And Dinesh Gunawardena is not the speaker. He is only the leader of the house. The secretary of the Communist Party requested this document under the Right to Information Act from the Minister of Finance. Government officials have refused to release the agreement to us. We have heard enough arguments now. The parties of the opposition need to take a decision now. We demanded this agreement so that we can make that decision. The second round of the budget will come. We have enough work on our hands. Please give us this document so work can continue.
You can request for an urgent meeting of the consultative committee where the speaker can give an order to summon it within 48 hours under standing notice.
November 2021, the day of the 2022 budget. KPMG Budget Analysis by S.R. Artigala, Secretary to the Treasury, Ministry of Finance. Sanjay Mohotala, Chairman, Board of Investments of Sri Lanka. Lakshman Silva, Chairman of Sri Lanka Banks Association and the CEO of DFCC Bank. Suresh Dimel, Chairman and Chief Executive of the Sri Lanka Export Development Board. Murtaza Jafarji, Chairman of Advocata Institute. Priyanka Disabandara, Tax Advisor, Ministry of Finance. Sanat Ukwatta, President of the Hotel Association of Sri Lanka and Chairman of the Mount Lavinia Hotel Group. Suresh Pereira, Principal Tax and Regulatory Division of KPMG Sri Lanka. Moderated by Reyaz Mihula, Managing Partner, KPMG Sri Lanka. Friday the 12th of November from 7:20 p.m. to 9 p.m. live on Microsoft Teams. Airing on TV1 from 10 p.m.
So that's all the news we have for you this afternoon. We urge you to stay tuned to News First and log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk for more updates. I've been Saturanga Haparachi. Take care and have a good day.